You must have heard the word pull a lot of times before, which basically means to grab something towards you. But pull can as well be used in a lot of phrases. In English language, there are multiple ways in which we can use pull interestingly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what today's session is about. In today's session, we will understand smart English expressions with pull. If you guys are ready, let's give it a go. The first expression that we have related to pull is pull round. Pull round here basically means recover from a period of illness. For example, if you're suffering from a viral, it takes a bit of a time for you to recover. And eventually, once you take the right medicines, etc., you pull round, you recover. For example, he was beginning to pull round after his operation. Second example, after a week of yoga sessions, it became clear that she would pull round eventually. Yogas definitely are quite rejuvenating, and therefore the person says, I felt better and pulled round. The next time when you want to say that you're recovering from an illness for that matter, do not say I'm recovering or I'm getting better. You can say pull round. Let us now move on to the next phrase. The next one is pull the plug on. It basically means to prevent something from happening and continuing. For example, if your phone is charging and if you plug on the charger from the socket, what happens? Does it continue to charge? No, it doesn't. This is what it exactly means, to stop the continuation of something. For example, the company pulled the plug on the deal unexpectedly. The company did not expect that something bad will happen because of this deal and finally decided to pull the plug on the contract. Next example is, if you keep coming home late, I will have to pull the plug on your late night parties. Happens with all of us. Let us now move on to the third phrase in the list today, which is pull strings. Pull strings here means to use your influence to gain an advantage. If a person is in power, the person would use that power to get their work done, such as saving yourself from punishment for that matter, or let's say taking an admission somewhere for that matter. Let us understand this with the help of example. He tried to pull strings with people he knew to avoid being called up by the police, which is what we discussed. Using power to get away from any punishment. Next example is, I don't want you to pull strings for me. I'd like to get an admission on my merit. I'd like to get admission on my own. I don't want your power being involved in that. Let us move to the next phrase that we have using pull, which is pull no punches. It means to speak in an honest way without trying to be kind or without trying to be sweet. How many of you have people in your life who are straightforward? They do not make things sweet. They do not twist and tailor the things. They say the things as they are. And that kind of talking style is called pull no punches. For example, her image is that of an investigative reporter who doesn't pull any punches. Investigative reporter possibly here means a type of a journalist, gives information as it is, not trying to be sweet here and there. The next example is, I need you to pull no punches in the meeting. We need your honest feedback. You can use this type of sentence in meetings if you're a boss, and you can say, do not try to be sweet, please. I want your honest feedback. Please be straightforward. Pull no punches. This was about pull no punches. Let us move on to the next one in the list that we have, which is pull someone's chain. Are you wearing a chain? I am wearing a chain. If you pull my chain, what happens? You play a joke around with me. You're not being serious. You're just trying to act kiddish. You're trying to play around. For example, I thought he really won the lottery, but he was only pulling my chain. He was pulling my chain. He was joking with me when he said that he's worth a lottery worth 50 lakhs, half a million, which is not true. Let us move on to the next one. Quit pulling my chain and tell me if you are really going to gift me a phone. The next phrase that we have, which is related to pull in this series, is pull out all the stops. When you pull out all the stops, you put a great effort in making something successful. For example, if you're preparing for an exam or if you're preparing for, let's say, a party. Let's understand this using examples. We pulled out all the stops to meet the deadline. That means we tried our best. We had to submit a presentation. We tried our best to submit the presentation to meet the deadline. Next example is they gave a grand Diwali party and pulled out all the stops to impress the guests. The next phrase that we have, which is related, which has pull in it, is pull over. It is related to vehicle. When you pull a vehicle over, you stop the vehicle and move to the side of the road. You can use this phrase especially when somebody is driving for you or you're driving. If you want to, while you're driving, if you want to stop by the side of the road, you can say, I need to pull over. It does not necessarily mean to park the car. It means to stop it by the side of the road for a little while. Let's understand this using an example. He was pulled over by the police for over speeding. Next example is, just pull over here and I'll get out and walk the rest of the way. Let us now move on to the next phrase that we have in the list. Pull yourself together. Very interesting phrase that is used to motivate other people, to support them, especially in their bad times. It means to regain calm after being angry or upset. If somebody is angry, if somebody is sad or upset, in that particular scenario, you can make use of this phrase, which is pull yourself together, please. For example, pull yourself together, Bhumika. Pull yourself together, Rahul. Bad things happen, but the light is yet to come. Positive things will happen as well. For example, you are talented, just pull yourself together and start applying for a new job. Next is, just pull yourself together. There's no point crying about the lost match. You've lost a match, you'll win another one. So do not worry. Pull yourself together. Very interesting phrase. The next phrase that we have in the list of interesting phrases that you can use with pull is pull your weight. Very interesting one, which basically means to fulfill your responsibilities. Imagine if you're at a workplace and you're not able to fulfill your responsibilities. What happens? You are sacked. You are fired. The person is fired, God forbid, to anyone. For example, he must pull his weight. He must fulfill his responsibility in his new job or leave the organization. Because whatever you're given, you've got to do that. Ought to do that. The next example is, if you want to get into IIT, you must start pulling your weight right away. That means you must start fulfilling your responsibilities as a student currently, which is studying all the time, solving difficult problems. Let us move on to the next one. Pull something out of a hat. Have you ever seen a magician? What does a magician do? The magician pulls something out of a hat. It's magical. It's unexpected. A situation wherein you do something suddenly and surprisingly. In that situation, we can make use of this particular phrase, which is pull something out of the hat. It was sudden and nobody had expected that. For example, we can't just pull the answer out of a hat in the exam. You need to revise. It's important for you to revise before you sit for the exams to answer the questions in it correctly. The next example is, the team had somehow managed to pull another victory out of the hat again in losing the match. The next phrase is pull up stakes. It means to move from one city to another city. Take all your possessions. Sometimes people who are in the government job, in the service of government, they have to relocate to different places, especially army men or, for that matter, any government official. It means to move or go to live elsewhere. For example, this is the 4th time in 5 years that you've had to pull up stakes. In 4 years, 5 times you had to move and live elsewhere. Quite a difficult situation for people. Next example is, we've lived here for years, but now it's time to pull up stakes. We have lived in this particular city for the last 15 years, but it's time to pull up stakes. Ladies and gentlemen, This was all about all the phrases that we have that you can make use of using pull to make your English advanced and creative. Make sure that you continue watching all of these videos to continue making your English more advanced. Thank you very much for being with me. Take care and have a great day.